of victory and the agony of defeat.
Great ball around the corner, Petticini. He beats them all. Junior Polar out wide, knocked away from Cronulla Sharks coming through. None of them can hold this.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another live edition of the Tip Sheet Podcast. As always, I'm your host, John, also known as 4020. Salutations and greetings to everyone in chat. I see plenty of regulars in there. Kicks, Chris, Beacon, Butch, Matty Butch, that is, Michael, Diggs, Neil Ross, Phil Eel, Jeddah, Scott Whitney, Michael Formosa, Paul, one and all, and the many others that are lurking in chat as well. Good evening to you all. Joining me and you all is my good mate Sixties, the big fella Craig, on a pretty nice sunny day, to be honest. And it's not just a sunny day, literally, it's a sunny day metaphorically, mate, because it's the first Teamless Tuesday of the season. As I was saying, mate, the first Teamless Tuesday of the season. So it's a sunny day, both literally and metaphorically, for fans of the Blue and Gold. How you doing, mate, as we celebrate what is a pretty banner day? Because Jason Ryles, he has not held back with the team that he's announced to take on the Cronulla Sharks on Sunday night.
No, I'm really looking forward to having a chat about that, John. Obviously, you're in a really good mood.
It's been a good 24 hours, yes. Big Seattle Seahawks win in the Super Bowl. I mean, I could talk about that a lot, and spoilers, it might be a bit of a theme for the intermission music. But yes, looking for the historic double now for the Seattle Seahawks and the Parramatta Eels this year, mate. As I was saying to you on the phone today, Mike McDonald, second-year coach for the Seattle Seahawks, took the team from outside the finals to the golden land, the chosen land, in the space of 2 years. No pressure, JR. No pressure, Jason Ryles. Just easy to follow that up right there.
Oh, mate, look, for people who aren't aware, you've actually been a fan for a very, very long time with the Seahawks. It's something that I guess you're now experiencing what a victory feels like following a team. And
look, we've seen success in the juniors of Parramatta in my time as both TCT and beyond. But yes, a major title. I mean, the Seahawks did win it 12 years ago. I was following the NFL far more loosely back then. In a more general sense. So, yeah, to be able to, not just to be hitched to a wagon that's just, on the bumpy ground, actually getting to the promised land is very, very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, very good, John. Very good. And, of course, without further ado, thank you to everyone who is tuning in at the moment. And, of course, no matter what platform you're watching or listening to this on, if you can give it a like and subscribe, that really means a lot to us. And it's important for us to get to that 1,000 followers on YouTube. We know we get lots more views than we have subscribers. So we know there's people out there who are watching but not yet subscribed. So if you could do us a favour, that would be great. Also, a shout out to our sponsors, Star Partners Real Estate, Auburn, Narellan and Parramatta. And, of course, the home of the Eels, Parramatta Leagues Club. Stand by for big news about round one, linking in there with Parramatta Leagues Club. So we'll be talking about that very, very soon. And also with regard to Para Leagues, the voting has been open for a little while now for the election for the board of directors. But I really want to push the point about the special resolutions and voting in those. There are the 4 member proposed special resolutions that the board of directors has recommended that you vote against. We stand by the stance of Parramatta Leagues Club's board of directors. We encourage people to do as the directors have advised, and that's to vote against those particular member proposed special resolutions. It's basically looking at winding back things like postal voting, electronic voting, standards of directors, the minimum standards that directors have to have. It makes you wonder why people would want to roll these back. We've got a pretty good idea about why there's certain members that want to roll it back. The other thing too is Parramatta Leagues Club provided a list of the people who were responsible for putting forward this proposal. And they also advised that only 1/5 of those people on that list had been and visited Parramatta Leagues Club in the last 12 months. So it's not to say that that values you less as a member, but when you get people who aren't visiting the club and they want to steer the club in a particular direction, and that direction is backwards, by the way, it really does make you wonder. But John, enough of me politicising. We don't like to politicise here. We'd much rather keep it on the footy. Hit that stinger.
Let's get right into it, eh?
News team, assemble!
Mate, what's the latest on the Zach Lomax saga?
Well, I mean, we've just had the case has been put back now into March. And if anyone hasn't read the post that we had up from Roly-Poly Para, please do yourself a favour and read that, because I don't think you're going to get anything written in any better explaining the processes that have to go through in court. But there was an indication from Roly-Poly Para that even with the court date going, the original court dates of the 12th and 13th of February, that a decision was going to be made a little bit down the track. It wouldn't have been a decision handed down straight away. It would have been, I mean, it could have been possibly pushed back to March anyway in terms of the decision, because the thing with it is that the judge has a lot to deliberate once the evidence is presented, and it's a case that's going to impact future sports deals, the sports contracts right across Australia, not just in rugby league, but across all sports. So the judge is not going to rush into a decision. It's now been moved back to start March the 2nd, I think it is, John. Yeah. The court hearing, and obviously that's just one week, or it's the same week as the opening round for the Eels against the Storm. There was speculation, well, this will mean that Zach Lomax definitely won't be able to play in round one against the Eels. I'll give you the tip. He wasn't going to be playing anyway, because the chances are this court case wouldn't have been decided for a while, and it's not going to be decided that on the last day of the hearing. So you can put a line through Zach Lomax regardless of the outcome. But John, where are you at in your thinking with this case? Are you just sick and tired of the whole thing? Are you watching it with interest because of the future implications? Where's your head at with it?
Yeah, look, I understand people that are sick and tired of it, because, like I said, the Lomax issue is now a saga, isn't it? It's really dragged out. It's certainly the media have milked it for all it's worth. We've gotten some pretty clear, stakeholders, or I don't know how you want to phrase it, like bad faith actors, maybe, pushing certain barrows on both sides of the ledger. Even though it seems to be in general that the club landscape and the fandom are behind the Parramatta Eels and the barrow they're pushing. While it is annoying, I'm not wary of it yet, just mate, because I feel like, as you mentioned at the end there, in terms of precedent, in terms of setting a defining line in the sand one or the other, this is an important moment for not just the Parramatta Eels but the code. To that as well, it's not like the Parramatta, while we obviously want to be able to recruit, it's not like the Parramatta Eels have a pressing free agent that they're chasing, and this would be getting this, fixed up one way or the other, would be absolutely defining what they can do in terms of signing or not signing someone. So, maybe there is someone behind the scenes that I don't know about, but at least publicly we are not actively engaged or close to getting a big signing, right? So there's that sort of takes away some of the tension for me. So I'm very happy to let this play out. again, big ups to the club for showing some genuine backbone here. Could have rolled over very easily when the NRL didn't want to come to the table and broker a reasonable deal. And, this may still end in tragedy for the Parramatta Eels. Don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here saying that we're going to come out of this all rainbows and sunshine and smiles. We've in lieu of the article that you mentioned about with Roly Poly Eel there, and just, again, not a lawyer, but from the court cases that you looked at in the past in other industrial actions that have been prominent in the media, you tend to see that the courts don't like to intervene heavy-handedly in something. As I mentioned to you, it's kind of like it's not quite a closed garden economy, the NRL, but it is very much its own sort of subsector, and they're not going to want to try and enforce. Historically, it'd be unlikely for them to enforce a really strong precedent there. So I would not be surprised if the Eels came away with a fairly neutral verdict that didn't really aid them. But at the same time, again, I do appreciate the club is standing up for its interest here, because they did the right thing by Zach Lomax. They gave him the opportunity to go pursue the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow on a conditional release. And he has not been hindered in his ability to explore opportunities in any of the rugby union franchises or in the NRL. Just he's got to help broker a deal that is fair for the Parramatta Eels.
John, a couple of things there. First is why I'm really, really interested in that, and that's the stance of Peter V'landys. I think his comments, getting himself into the media for certain comments, has been abominable. Like, it's in his position, he should not be making a stance or offering his opinion, because he should really be in a neutral position. All of his comments so far seem to be backing Zach Lomax and the Storm.
Worse, they're a complete contradiction of his very public statements he made during the R360 arc, where it was
John, all that's just hot air now.
Yeah, absolutely. It was all thunder and lightning, fire and brimstone. 10-year bans for player managers, 10-year bans for players that not just like go and sign, but engage with R360. We don't need you. Our code is greater than you. And then now it's I think there was to paraphrase. To paraphrase, yeah, exactly. While Zach, by the way, was contracted to the Parramatta Eels, signed the provisional agreement for R360 is what the discovery in court seems to be pointing at. While Zach was contracted to the Parramatta Eels by way of that conditional release, engaged in a provisional contract with the Melbourne Storm that was actually going into the NRL signings portal. So he's breached his contract not once but twice, and once in a manner in which, like we said, fire and brimstone, preaching from the pulpit, old-fashioned, confessional sort of, talking down to people. We don't need you. Our code's better than you. It's bigger than you. You go out there and chase the money, and you're going to be banned for life. And now it's like, poor Zach's misunderstood. He signed a contract, but never went out and sort of took it up. He doesn't deserve to be banned for 10 years because he misunderstood the situation. No. That's not misunderstanding the situation. That's finding out that the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow didn't exist. So again, there is every chance we get burned in this, Craig. I'm not sitting here telling everyone listening, everyone watching, everyone that reads our engages our content, don't worry, we got this. Like, this is going to come out all blue and gold positive. Odds are it doesn't. That's just the reality of the situation. But we are standing up for ourselves, and that is all I can ask from the club.
John, I'm really angered by the Peter V'landys situation. No doubt Peter V'landys was instrumental in the NRL coming out of the COVID crisis in a strong position, and he set the NRL up for future success. But man, he's losing his way, in my opinion.
Oh, no.
And I wonder whether there's an ego issue or whatever the case may be, and in that regard, does he see himself as the only one who can make the right sort of judgments as far as the future directions of the NRL? Yeah. Because of the big decisions he's made in the past, that he weighs in and dictates what's going to happen with everything else. Because, like, to backtrack as fast as he has on the contract and the negotiations with R360, he couldn't have wished for a clearer case. He could not have wished for a clearer case as his first one to institute bans. Now, I'm not advocating for him to ban Zach Lomax, but I'm not going to sit by and not comment on someone who was talking bans and then not just backflips, but does like a complete 180 with his stance and says, oh, look, this bloke should be in the game. He's an elite athlete, blah, 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 blah. Parramatta should be prepared to accept reasonable offers, blah, 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 blah. No. Keep yourself out of it. And don't go saying, oh, look, you know, we will sit back and watch what happens in the court processes, but blah, 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 blah. Like, we stand by Zach Lomax and his rights. No, he did everything that you said rugby league NRL players should not be doing in this situation with R360. The other point is, and it was made by Roly Poly Parra in that superb post that she submitted, and that's that there is not an original employment contract that is a restriction of trade. What the agreement that's in dispute is this release agreement. This is a release agreement that was determined in full consultation with Zach Lomax, his agent, his legal representative. It was ticked off by the NRL. So all advice and provisions were there for Zach. This was the Eels kindly allowing him to go and pursue other avenues. It was a release agreement because he wanted to break his contract. So he's broken his original contract. He's been given permission to break his original contract on the provisos that were agreed upon in this release agreement. And now he's disputing the release agreement. So I think it's arguable that there's a release of a restraint of trade in his employment contract, because this is simply an agreement about a contract that he's broken. He's the one that's broken it. He's now broken a couple of contracts. He's developed a track record for these things. All these things must weigh in. John, look, like you, I've learned to be pessimistic with Parramatta. However,
and you know what? In the past, a lot of that was Parramatta's own fault. But in this case, they've taken the stand.
But John, in this instance, there is very, very little in the way of evidence that is in any way supportive of Zach Lomax. And not only that, the statements that have been made by his representatives or the Storm have done no favours whatsoever. To me, it almost looks like a joke of a case. I've got my pessimistic side, but there's a part of me that's like, I can't see this going any other way but Parramatta's. Now,
like common sense says it should.
I don't want to jinx it.
Common sense, like, you know, deems that it should fall the way of the Parramatta Eels. But as we've really stressed throughout the last few podcasts, and again with the post from Roly Poly there, the fantastic compilation of legal insights, that the system is far more complex than that. There's a lot of balancing forces at play. And again, you know, there are things outside your control in terms of what sort of judge you get, what you found in discovery, what you can present, how much they want to intervene in a semi-closed market like we have in the NRL. So yeah, there's a lot of factors at play that could mean that it falls outside of Parramatta's favour here. I did see Lisa in chat mentioning that there was an update. I don't know if you saw, Craig, before we went to air this evening. There was an update on the Daily Telegraph talking about there was a follow-up meeting between the Eels and the Storm recently, maybe yesterday, I'm not sure what the exact timeline was, where they tried to broker another deal, but Melbourne continue to only up the transfer fee. So they're really trying to push the barrow of the transfer fee being reasonable compensation. And I think the number I saw was maybe $500,000 on the transfer fee now.
So we're up to about 3 or 4 treadmills.
So, look, no one's saying that $500,000 is not insignificant money. The problem is that everyone's here to win a premiership. And $500,000 that doesn't go towards being able to compete for a premiership versus getting a incumbent, again, pseudo-incumbent because he bowed on the Ashes because of his R360 thing, but an incumbent New South Wales and Australian winger in his prime, in his physical prime, the balance of scales on the balance there are tipped massively towards Melbourne. So that's why the Eels are digging their heels, and that's why they're trying to set a precedent where we need to, get on top of this contract breaking, and that cuts both ways with club and player. And maybe establish a means in which we can actually have the trading of players, or something similar. I don't know. Maybe cap credits. I don't know how we figure this out. But Eels, getting $500,000 off the cap. It's a spreadsheet thing.
John, let's move away from court cases and into the footy, because it is Team List Tuesday.
Woo.
We've got 2 team lists there, an NRL team list and a New South Wales Cup team list. Of course, the New South Wales Cup team list is primarily players that might end up taking the field in Ron Massey Cup. There's maybe a few there that will play New South Wales Cup, but it's certainly an extended New South Wales Cup squad that's been selected for that trial. But how about you take us through the team list and your thoughts on it? It's the NRL one is certainly, it's virtually naming everyone that's available.
Well, I feel like Jason Ryles was watching an old movie classic before naming his team list, because he had a bit of Gary Oldman to this performance. I don't know if you've seen Leon the Professional anytime recently, Craig, but there's an iconic moment for Gary Oldman as a young man in that film where he calls for a bit of reinforcements.
I told you.
Make sure I don't try and blow your eardrums out here.
Bring me everyone. What do you mean everyone?
Which is what it felt like with Jason Ryles for this Team List Tuesday, where, the Eels are missing some heavy hitters. There's no doubt there are some notable omissions with Jason Ryles keeping some players on ice, keeping some players fresh for the third week of trials, or it's really the second week, but it's the third week because of the Vegas teams. Ryles naming a 28-man team list. Woo! So let me get the vocal cords warmed up here. We got a few names to get through. But plenty of star power, plenty of young stars as well. So this is going to be a fascinating trial against the Cronulla Sharks. 6 o'clock kickoff on Sunday night out at Henson Park. Be interesting to see if they declare the attendance figure. There's the classic number there. But Eels take on the Cronulla Sharks, who themselves are named a very good forward pack and some good talent in the back line there. But we start at number 1 for the Parramatta Eels. Isaiah Yongi leading the way at fullback. Then on the wings, Jake Tungor will be on one flank with Bailey Simonson on the other. I notice it's Viliami Penasini, so I'm not sure if Will's going to go by his given Tongan name there, but Viliami Penasini in the centres with Sean Russell. Joash Papali confirming his position in the depth charts, Craig, as the first backup half cab off the rank there. He'll partner Jonah Pezzett. Jonah showing his value to the club, stepping into that number 7 role of Mitch on ice this week. In the front row, Eels naming a very strong trio there. Jermaine Hopgood, Riley Smith and Sam Tuavaiti. No Junior Barlaw, but Sam gets a chance to start this week on the back of a great preseason. Speaking of great preseasons, the back row trio here all training the house down, as the saying goes. Kelma Tuolangi and Kitione Katonga on the edges. Matt Dury, that's your boy right there, Craig. He's starting to lock forward. Chance to really cement himself in the top 17 here. Going the interchange. Talon De Silva, he's had a fantastic preseason as well, alongside Charlie Geimer. I feel like I'm just listing off players with great preseasons, but that's how it's been for the Eels. A lot of hungry young men there. Jordan Samrani, the utility back/forward on the bench. And then, as I said in my Team List Tuesday post, Craig, every year, every trial season, you sort of get a couple of names that have put you on notice about guys that might have, again, trained the house down, put their hands up, impressed coaches, and almost forced their way into a shot. And I think you look at that 17 players, and the last man named in the first 17 there, Tiankin Brown, he's a player that I think has really put himself on the coach's radar, and he gets a great chance here to, again, it's a fierce competition in sports, but a great chance here to climb up the depth charts a little bit of a game against the Cronulla Sharks. Then we go to the extended bench, and it is a hell of an extended bench. Arpa Twaddle, Muhammad Alamadine, Richard Penasini, Araz Namva, they're your 4 backup outside backs. Then we go to the spine, Lorenzo Talatina, Ronald Volkman, and then, Lincoln Fletcher is the other spine player, but he's at the very end. But then we go to the forwards. Rabbitohs, Josiah Funarayuta, Will Latu, and then Manny Luke is your backup dummy half. So it is a 28-man roster, a lot of players, a lot of turnover going to happen in this game. We're probably going to see 2 or 3 different major configurations of the team, Craig, but a whole lot of young players that we're very keen to see here. Of note, Rabbitohs and Lincoln Fletcher obviously played in the SG Ball last week. We're going to talk about that game very shortly. It was a tremendous win against the, I was about to say West Tigers, but they are the Magpies in the SG Ball. They are not playing SG Ball this week, or at least not named. And we'll talk about the junior reps in a standalone podcast, but not named. So expect them to get maybe some reasonable playing time.
Yeah, it looks that way. That had been the plan, that they would get time in the trial because they've been part of the NRL pre-season.
Post-Christmas too, yeah. So
big basically, Jason Ryles has followed through with that. These particular players, they did an NRL pre-season. They're getting to play NRL trials. Despite the fact they played SG Ball last week, they're getting that NRL pre-season process followed through. And I couldn't be happier for that. John, just before making any further comments and going through the New South Wales Cup team list, who have we got there in chat? And we got any comments there so far on the NRL team list?
Yeah, we got plenty of regulars. I see in recent chats now, Phil's pointing out no Jack DeBellin. Yeah, JDB. What do we got? Notable missions include, obviously, Mitchell Moses, Josh Adokar. Excuse me. Then you had Jack DeBellin, Junior Barlaw, Dylan Walker, Jack Williams. Kelmer's playing. So Luca is, I believe, still in recovery. No Ryan Madison. I don't know if you want to talk about the rumours swirling around there, Craig, later. Maybe we'll get onto that one. And then no Tony Mattielli. A couple of those players I'm pretty confident are a bit nicked up in terms of some of those fringe guys, not the top line guys. And I feel like the other top line guys have been rested as much to give the young guys an opportunity here, Craig. So missing a bit of strike. But that's how trials work out. Isaac saying, interesting to see how Jonah and Josh will go. I agree, mate. I feel like this is actually a pretty important combination to assess early in the season because we know Mitch has unfortunately been a bit prone to injuries. Pezzett sliding into that number 7. Joash looking to build on what we saw from him in the 6th jersey late last year. I mean, like that's actually more important than maybe a lot of people give credit to. This is Parramatta's primary backup combination, assuming that something happens to Mitch, and in State of Origin too. So this is it, even if Mitch is healthy, then you will see this combination at least once or twice in 2026. So yeah, I agree with that one there. Mitch then not Mitch Moses, I hope. Mitch says, does this list confirm Kelly is next to Fox with Simonson and Russell shooting it out, alternating across the game from Penasini? I feel like that was my read on it, Craig. Prospectively, Kelly would partner the Fox down the left, and then you'd have, I think, as we said, Penasini sort of pencil him in as a given starter, and then the last man standing or the best man for the job between Simonson and Russell on that right wing.
Yeah, I wrote about it last week in a training report.
Fox is in the All-Stars game. That's why he's not available. There you go. I forgot about that.
Yeah. But I wrote about it in the training report last week about I'm pretty confident that Kelly's going to get that left centre spot beside the Fox. There's a lot, as we start to get into this part of the preseason, it gets harder to write some training reports simply because it's harder to work out what to leave out.
Yeah, bit LA confidential, right? You're sort of trying to not spill the lollies for some of the journos and opposing resources that might read TCT. But yes, this will be a great insight into how the boys have been training, how certain combinations and partnerships will be struck up. And yeah, the Eels have plenty of firepower left in the cupboard still too, which is fantastic heading into that week 2 trial. I see Scott had a question about the venue. He's bought family tickets for the game. Well done. But it's a long day. Do we know if there are pass outs?
If it's a hot day, there might be quite a bit of passing.
Well, yeah, there could be plenty of passing out. At least it's the evening for the NRL game. But
yeah,
I don't know. Trials tend to be a bit laxer in terms of the security on the gate. But yeah, you'd have to ask when you go in, mate. Honestly, I don't know about Edson Park in the context of an NRL trial, because you go there when we go there for reps or the New South Wales Cup. It's only for the couple of hours and we're in and out. Yeah. I mean, we could try and ask around and get back to you, mate. But I would assume, always assume probably in the negative here, but hope for the best there. Michael's saying that Fletcher and Ryder were named first go trial in the reserves. Yeah, it's a big day for them. They've had a huge preseason. We saw Ryder playing New South Wales Cup all the way through to the grand final qualifier last year. And I'll tell you what, Lincoln Fletcher's not short on confidence. So they'll be well equipped for this one. A chance to impress Jason Ryles et al. And the others. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of rotations. I'm going to be interested to see if they give some of these young guys a quick run with the first stringers, like as a partial transfer, or if they go wholesale after changes and let them duke it out with the Cronulla team in that capacity. Neil saying he thought Hopgood would be in the All-Stars team. Yeah, I was surprised, Neil. I thought Hopgood finished last year so strongly. I thought he would have been an absolute shoo-in for the All-Stars, but then again, club representation is a little bit of a finicky balancing act for the NRL in that regard. They want to try and get every team represented. Eels obviously had Josh Adokar as a massively prominent representative, so maybe the balance there lay of other clubs trying to get extra guys in, and Hopgood's been there, done that, and was willing to cede his position to another young man, give them the exposure, give them the experience of the exhibition game there. What time is the SG Ball trial? Says Isaac, I've got. I thought I had the team list up. That's the.
Well, it's not a trial. The SG Ball.
Yeah, sorry, did I misread that? Yeah, it's not a trial. It's round 2. SG Ball Cup for the Eels is the last game of the round. Sunday, 12 o'clock at Henson Park. So it's that mega day of football out at Henson, and then you've got the Harold Mats also at Henson at 10:30. So if you really, because the girls are playing at the other Cronulla venue, I believe. What was it called? Yeah, Ocean Protect Stadium. Is that
the new name?
Is that the new name for Shark Park? I was about to say the same thing there. Ocean Protect Stadium is a stadium in Woolooware, which is Shark Park. Yeah, there you go. So they're playing out at Shark Park while the fellas, if you want that big day that we saw Scott talking about before, 10:30 a.m. start, all the way through to a 6 o'clock kickoff in the NRL. I've done it before, Craig. I'm not doing it this weekend. I've done the junior reps into the NRL trial, like all 3 NRL trials. Is there a flag trial that hasn't been listed?
I'm assuming that it is because it goes because the SG
10:30, 12 o'clock.
After,
then you got a slot 1:30,
like
1:30, 2 o'clock, to 4 o'clock, to 6 o'clock in the next 3 slots. Yeah.
So that's my assumption on that. It's it's a long day. Let's be honest. It's not the most modern venue that you're going to go and watch a game of football at. I get why they take games to the suburban venues or to the bush venues, but you know what? I'd really like it one year for the Eels to have a home trial at the stadium. And I know it's hard because you've got the Wanderers are booked in to play there, and there's other demands on the stadium at this time of year, but can we get something that resembles a home game for us, because other teams are getting home games.
Yeah, especially because there is now actually some weight to the preseason trials with the monetary reward that's up for grabs, which goes a chunk of the way to what the Melbourne Storm are offering the Parramatta Eels. It's off the cap bonus. Honestly, it would be nice. I can't remember the last time we had a home trial, Craig.
Against St George, it was where Hayes Dunster got his.
Oh, you're right. It was the hip drop tackle, and before that, it was would have been a while before that too, because we used to go to Penrith. We used to go to Alice Springs, St Mary's. Yeah, the home trials. The 2018 Maitland game. We look like absolute world beaters. To the point where we had the Knights thinking that we're going to go to the title game, and then
what about that day out at Maitland? I think it must have been close to 40 degrees that day. No shade. There was a tiny grandstand that was there. I just went and sat in it in an empty seat for a while. I didn't have a ticket, but I just thought I need to get out of this sun. That was partway through the afternoon, and I just thought, here's an empty seat. I'll sit here till someone tells me it's their seat.
Josh.
And then I think I ended up.
Yeah.
Then I think I ended up sitting and talking with Graham, who's one of our regulars from the Central Coast. Good man. So anyway,
Josh, on the subject of home trials, Josh in chat was saying, is there any chance that Kellyville could host a trial at some point? I don't think that's beyond the realms of possibility.
I think it's down the track. Maybe when it gets to the point of the modular buildings that are there have been purchased by another sports organisation, but part of the purchase agreement is they're not ready to take them just yet. So I think they're going to be 18 months to 2 years on site. Now, when they move, and it's not all the modular buildings, it's probably about half of the modular buildings, but when they move them, they're going to extend the hill at the southern end just a little bit further across, and then that might make it, and then they have to push the field down a bit. It'll mean that the venue could probably hold about 4,000 people, something like that.
I think that's within the boundaries of a pretty solid trial, especially they could set up temporary seating on the far side too. And I'm looking at that sort of thing. If they had that arrangement, that would probably be how it would work. They probably have to have temporary fencing around the venue, that's
for like ticketing purposes, that sort of thing. Because it's not set up as a ticketed venue where you have to buy a ticket to get in there.
Chris confirming the obvious there with his expertise that trials have to be fenced and played at grounds where they can change attendance. Charge attendance, not change attendance. So, like you said, they have to set up a perimeter. Not that they couldn't do it. They could do it. And, I think that would be, come home to Kellyville moment would be pretty cool for a trial. Otherwise, obviously, they've got the stadium there. They could easily play at the stadium. And I'm honestly, given how long it's been between drinks for a home trial, I think you would actually, given that the Eels should be on the up and up with Jason Ryles, knocking on wood, that a trial at Combank would probably do reasonably well. So there's options.
Yes.
There is options.
Okay, John, if you can just go through that New South Wales Cup team list.
Yeah, Parramatta Eels. I wasn't expecting them to announce a Cup team list, so put me on my heels when I was doing Team List Tuesday to quickly get that set up. But a combination of our graduating flag players from last year, Craig, some returning names from the Cup itself in 2025, and then a stack of new faces that we're going to have to get ourselves acquainted with that I can't really provide you with any insight on, barring one that is a returning player. But we start at fullback. Bradley Avery has come back from that. I think it was a knee injury he sustained last year, Craig. It was a big blow to the flag when he went down. He was having a great year at both wing and fullback. He's in the number 1 jersey. On the wings, one of the new faces, Sione Lino. And then the opposite side, a flag graduate in Dakota Kakoi. Good to see Dakota there in the back line. Ditto, we've got a new face and a familiar face in the centres. Kai Tak Chan in the 3, and then Samuel Luizu. Fans very familiar with Samuel at this point in the centres. Got a pair of new faces in the halves, Bobby Miller, the 5'8", and then Joseph Nora, the 7. I believe Joseph is from Penrith, Craig, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to double check on that. Maybe Joel in chat or Chris might know. I think he might be from the Penrith squads. But then we go to the front row where it's an all-returning player affair. Max Tupou and Tyrese Lakini, the bookends. Cruz Natili Schmidt, a dummy half. In the back row, you got Cruz's brother Felix Natili Schmidt, and then Mason McCarthy, another newcomer there. I wonder if it's in relation to Ollie. I have to check that one out there. Maybe no relation, maybe some relation. And then locking out the scrum at Saxon Pryke, another returning player that we got plenty of time for there. Paddy Spence, the utility on the bench. Chase Chapman, another newcomer there. Damascus Nemia had a great year in the flag last year. He graduates to the New South Wales Cup /RMC. Then Leo Narcio rounding out the interchange, with the 18th man being Ellie Elzakahem. So good to have Ellie back in the fold there at Parramatta. He spent a couple of years out at the Roosters, and then I'm not sure if he went somewhere else. But he comes back to the Eels here to extend their depth in both the Cup and, they are both Cups, but Cups of the New South Wales and Ron Massey variety.
Yeah, so he was on a 42-week contract before when he was at the Eels. So he was in the full-time squad with that. You've also got Tyrese, who's been in the NRL pre-season, Saxon Pryke, of course, as well, with his contract that has him as a full-time training, full-time member of the squad. So that gives people a bit of an idea about returning players. Of course, the other one that we're looking forward to seeing coming back is Artie.
Yes. Still in the setup. Good mates of Scotty Cam these days. Artie Miller-Steven. Everyone caught that picture of the man from the block himself, old Scotty from the block. But yeah, Artie will definitely be a fixture or a boost to the backline stocks there. And look, this is pretty clearly trending more towards a Ron Massey squad than a New South Wales Cup squad. I look at that team and players like Max Tupou and Tyrese Lakini and Saxon Pryke, I think are probably going to be thereabouts with the Cup team. Tyrese and Saxon did a great job there throughout extended runs in Cup last year, and Max Tupou was good when he was available, but had a bad run of injuries. So I think that they'll be. Oh, and Samuel Luiso too, who obviously has been, with the Parramatta Eels set up for a while now, in spite of one preseason with the Tigers. So yeah, they're players I think you'll see, and Cruz too, I guess. I keep tacking on here, and there are some young players there I'm looking at like Damascus and Paddy and Brad Avery that can hopefully press a case to be included at some point. But yeah, this is very much a Ron Massey team. A lot of Parramatta's Cup depth is either featured in the extended NRL squad or just in other grades right now. Some Jersey footy players, some NRL peripheral players.
John, do you think Joseph Knorr is related to JP Knorr?
People have asked me that there. I don't know of any connection there. Because JP was back a while now. Just trying to think.
Yeah. He was, 2018, 2019, something like
About
that?
2018, yeah. Okay. Joseph Nora, spent some time at South Sydney, it looks like. Where's Rugby League Project? Oh, they don't do they haven't got the juniors there yet. So, yeah, I think he's been through a couple of systems there. 18th man, maybe might have him there. South Sydney and Penrith, I was right, there you go. My noodle's not completely cooked just yet. So, yeah, through the South Sydney and Penrith through the flag through the last couple of years. Then was at South Sydney during the junior reps. So that's the connection there. And yeah, he now comes to Parramatta as buried deep in the depth charts there to help bolster their RMC and I guess New South Wales Cup halves depth. There are some other players that are probably going to turn out in the flag trial that I think could also be still in consideration for some Cup duties at some point. But yeah, that's how the Eels shake up in this one. No kickoff time, but I would put this in the ballpark of a 4 p.m. kickoff, Craig, based on the ledger that we were working out before. SG ball at 12. I would assume flag at 2. New South Wales Cup at 4. NRL at 6.
Yeah, that sounds pretty right. And of course, we'll aim to have an instant reaction after the NRL trial, John, the instant reaction podcast.
Yeah, you can catch us live on Sunday night for that one, almost certainly.
Yeah, and speaking of podcasts, and I'm going to give ourselves a bit of a plug as well as we launch now into the junior reps, that we have the junior reps preview podcast that we are going to record on a weekly basis. So we'll cover in depth each of those junior reps games for the weekend. We'll probably put it out there on a Thursday or Friday. Junior reps playing Saturday, and in this case Sunday for half of the games. Let's first of all, John, go to the round 1 results. Mostly positive. We just had the one loss in those grades. So just quickly with the results, we had in the girls' pathways, Lisa Fiaola was a 24-4 win by the Eels over the Tigers.
Correct.
Tasha Gale, a 22-16 loss to the Tigers. And then in the male pathways, Harold Matz in a cracker of a game, prevailing 18-16. And in the SG ball, the Eels just overwhelmed the West Magpies 48-12.
Sorry, you go.
I was just going to say, if I can get your takes on those matches.
I'll try not to prattle on too much, because there is a fair bit you could talk about these ones, and we can expand on this in the preview podcast for the junior reps, so we do a better brief but more in-depth dive into these results. But like you said, the Harold Matts game, that was a cracker. Credit to the West Tigers, the Western Suburbs Magpies in this grade. They came out and both teams played a very physical brand of football. There were errors on both teams from pushing the ball, which you expect, but the aggression, the physicality and defense on both sides was really good in this one. And considering the conditions, even early in the day, it was tough. And they played some great football. The difference here, of course, being the young centre, Lorima Ciu Craig. I think pretty much universally people that watched that game lauded him as the man of the match. Certainly he wasn't the only player to have a good game. I thought the lock forward, Hayden Bell, was excellent. Very savvy as a young lock forward there. A trade he shares with his sister, who I thought was outstanding in the Lisa Fiola, by the way, in the same position. But yeah, I thought Hayden Bell, and obviously the Lorima CSU were the two best players in the park. Solid contributions across the ground too. In the halves, I thought Parrott and Leotau did a pretty decent job without overplaying their hands. And then Curtis Brown in the front row was good. Capavilla, not bad in the back row there too. I thought Khan Jackson as well, nice involvements there. And then a couple of the bench forwards. I think Tyson Paletu might have had a couple of good charges. But yeah, Eels prevailing there. Tough game. Lisa Fiola, I wrote about it in my weekend wrap, Craig. Heavy as the crown. Defending your premiership is never easy. You got the target on your back. And the Eels, the two teams handled it differently. Lisa Fiola, they got back to, they were just back in gear, got back to work and were the class above. Whereas the Tasha Gower really struggled in the second half. In the under-17s, the Fiola, I thought Tamika Withers was just on another level. Her right to left cutout pass is a thing of beauty. She's got a really deft kicking foot too, with her short kicking game. And we saw Havana Cook bag a double, as well as Georgia Wanzi get a game sealing try right in the shadow of our full time there in the 58th minute off that little grubber kick that she put through. She's a very good halves prospect there, but it's a good team.
Is a daughter of Michael Withers?
I believe is Michael with the coaching of us?
Michael was, I think he coaches at Hills Bulls.
He might.
He's been involved in the
there
Eels
is there is a connection to a coach, so it might be Michael Withers. Yeah, you have to double check that one there, but there is a coaching connection, I believe. But yeah, just a lot of great plays in this game. That left edge of Cook, Wanzi, and Withers was excellent. Who really impressed me off the interchange was Taylor Meager, Craig. I thought she was outstanding. Big, powerful bookend, huge work rate, great impact. In terms of the starting players, I mentioned Isabella Bell, like her brother, who also plays lock forward. Very savvy, very crafty. A lot of nous at dummy half at lock forward. Great reading of the game, great work rate. And then the player that I thought had a great second stint, Big Sam's little sister, Ta'alili Tuavaiti, was awesome in the second half. She tore strips into the Tigers and had a great game. Then we go to the Tasha Gow. Eels.
Oh, can I just, before you go on, I want to give a little shout out to Ruby Tuapolotu, who's, I know her grandfather, Rob. He's going to be proud of that effort. And also Yoko just happens to, she was a former...
The red strings of fate, tying everyone together here.
Former attendee of the childcare centre that Yoko's at. So... she's also proud to see that she's advanced in her football and got to the elite pathways as well. So congrats to Ruby for getting that first try too. So big achievement there.
Well done. And like I said, two reigning premiers, two different outcomes. I thought the Tasha Gow really struggled with the West Tigers, who came out of half-time, shot out of a cannon.
But errors, John, errors.
Yeah.
Like you got one team like the shot out of, the cannon for the second half, and the other just making error after error and inviting them keep coming.
And the craziest part is that in spite of all the errors, in spite of all the disadvantages they laid upon their own feet, the Eels got within 2 points.
Yeah.
And then made the mistake out of dummy half, Bailey Marchong and her runner. I'm not sure which forward it was. They got it wrong. Forward pass. Gave the Tigers the ball back. They score with was that the Daniel Seckold try? I can't remember. It might have been Seckold at the end there. And yeah, they had the chance to still win that game in spite of how badly they played. Obviously, you have to take the lessons out of that ASAP and turn it around on the road against the Sharks now next week. But like I said, two different reigning premiers and just two different responses to the opening game in round one. And of course, the
We did suspect, John, that the Tigers would be a strong challenge.
we had that great chat with AJ, and we looked at the sort of upwards trend of their results in the junior pathways in recent seasons, and the significant investment they've made. Credit to the Tigers in this regard. They have wholeheartedly invested into their pathways, the female pathways there, and they've certainly got some great players coming through, some big, powerful units in those squads. But then speaking of big, powerful units, mate, look, it's not fair to give it the main event billing, but the SG Ball, like the expectations were so, because of us, the expectations we've lavished on them, they're all so high. Like, it's not fair to put it on them, but we've had a premiership squad in 23, finalists last year that were done in heartbreaking fashion. The bar was so high, and yet we saw them in the preseason trials look so good, and they did not disappoint. Like, instantly, the West Suburbs Magpies were on the back foot here. I think pretty clearly in a game that featured a lot of fantastic players, Cameron Bamblett was just like world class. He had that siving kick return instantly in the game that put the Eels onto the front foot. He had a try assist to Sterling Fa'amui in the 17th minute that was silk. Then he bagged a couple of tries himself. Great combination of Lincoln Fletcher there between the 1 and the 7. Real sort of Cooper Cronk, Billy Slater energy on that outside-inside play around the ruck. Your boy, Steve Nunn, awesome. He started the game in the worst possible fashion. Error off his first touch. And it could have...
Yeah, I was starting to feel
the
guilty.
60s mockers. The 60s mockers. Yeah.
Just like Ryder did last year, when I was praising him to the absolute
against the Melbourne Storm, drops off the kickoff.
Yep. And horrible start to the game, then took the game by the scruff of the neck.
Exactly. And one of those footy adages that I always throw out to you guys is that you learn more from a loss than you do from a win. Thankfully, that wasn't the case here. It was the microcosm of that, like with the Rabbitohs thing last year, Craig. It's not the loss; it's the instance of an error. It's you put yourself under pressure and you make the mistake. How do you respond? And we've seen in Ryder's case, he had a pretty much man of the match performance, and in Steve's case, would have been man of the match if it wasn't for Cameron Bamblett. He was fantastic. Bounced back, was dominating through the ruck. In a forward pack that featured the likes of Rabbitohs, of Michael Nauer, of Sterling Fa'amui, of Jackson Coyner, who we'll get to shortly, let alone some heavy hitters on the bench in Ong, Kodarak, Pakoti, and Fanene. He was outstanding. Great penetration for the middle, bagged the double, an awesome debut in the SG Ball. I mentioned Coyner there. Again, inspired recruitment there. That might have been a Ben Rogers signing, I believe, Craig. So full credit to Rogers in that regard. I think we've got a good one. He looks good. Again, you don't want to put too much expectation on a young player there, but he looks incredibly well-rounded. Great feel for the game. Like, he just reads it really nicely. Had that aggression in defense, could distribute the ball to the edges really cleanly. Real prototypical modern 13. But yeah, Michael Nauer, first year SG Ball player, I thought he was good. Sterling Fa'amui scored a try. It was really nice. Mason Ong and Nick Kodarak had some great punch off the bench. We saw Cyrus Bloomfield adapting to wing. He's been fullback. He's been centre now on the wing. That might be his home eventually, Craig, because he's got that great physique for the flank. I believe he had a try, didn't he? Yeah, he had a nice try, and I think he had one taken away as well. Or maybe it was Nathan Howard that had the one taken away. We had a couple of tries. We had a couple of tries taken away. So this could have been a 60-point thrashing, but didn't quite eventuate that way. Just a 48-12 thrashing. So awesome start to the season. Eels going to be a little bit weaker next week because of that NRL trial. We're going to talk about that in the preview podcast. But we do, well, I say weaker. There is a big in. I think Samuel Polly's been named, Craig, to help cover in the forwards. But we also get a new face in the halves. So we'll talk about that on the Thursday podcast. But yeah, great. All around a pretty great weekend for the junior reps, barring the Tarsha Gale. And they all look to build against the Cronulla Sharks in the round 2 games out at both Henson and then whatever they call Shark Park these days.
Yeah, look, without getting ahead into the preview podcast, I do expect the Tarsha Gale team to learn very quickly from that first up hiccup and bounce back. And John, just with regard to Stephen Nunn, what you want and what you see as well in players who are the elite players in the game, and I'm not going to jump ahead with expectations of Stephen, but I think a common trait is those players have the memory of a goldfish when it comes to errors. They can just put the error behind them and not fret about it.
Yeah.
And because it's not like you don't want them to at some stage reflect on an error, but you want them to either instantly learn or instantly just go, like, because they could try too hard and make more errors after that, like immediately trying to take it on themselves to make up for it and just overplay their hand. Or they could fret about it and then just keep making more mistakes or play within themselves. You just do your next play as if, like you were going to before. You just stick to the game plan. You stick to what you're supposed to be doing. You put it behind you. You move on. And I think he did that really, really well. John, I thought, seeing as how you finished with the SG ball there, it was going to be hard to it's hard to identify individual players for praise, because I thought on top of the good individual performances, it was a really good across the board performance as a team.
Oh, it was a fantastic team performance. They were fit, they were aggressive, mobile, agile, like all the rugby leagueisms you want to see from them, and they weren't at full strength. No Chris Petrus, no Sam Poey, Lincoln Fletcher and Rabbitohs had not trained with the team. Like they literally been, and I know we talked about with Steve Georgalis about that whole of club philosophy from a strategy and a tactical sense, where you can come into a squad and understand the principles and attacking structures, because in the SG Ball or the New South Wales Cup or the Jersey Flegg of the NRL, it's going to be similar theories. But even so, they would have known some of the players from last year, but there's a lot of turnover too. So Eels not even close to full gear there.
The greatest example of not even close to full gear was Lincoln Fletcher, because he played within himself.
He played so far because he didn't need to. He didn't overplay his hand. He had Cameron Bambutt cutting him up. He had Stephen Nunn and Jackson Coyne cutting him up. He just managed the game. He got to his kicks. He distributed the ball. Had that gorgeous little outside inside with Bambutt to set up Bambutt's. Was it his first try? Might have been his first try. Just played within himself, because that's exactly what was required of him in this game. He didn't need to be man of the match.
And it's a quality, a really important quality. If you're a player who can make others around you look good, you've got an attribute that coaches are looking for.
Yes, sir.
So we'll talk more about junior reps in, of course, the junior rep special preview that we will now be doing the podcast every week. So please stand by for that. John, we should, of course, mention, unfortunately, the passing of a former Eel in Vince Fawcett, who came to the Eels in mid-90s. I think it was 95, 96. And he played about 14 games for the Eels. Still a young man, a relatively young man at 55 years of age.
Very, very much a young man at 55, mate. Yeah.
And unfortunately, this was after a long period of illness, apparently. So we do wish him, wish his family all the best. Send our condolences, our sympathies. He was a centre 3/4. I think he played about 14 games, something like that.
It was a 14 game career, correct?
Yeah. Player number 546.
Mm-hmm.
So that, I like when the Eels put out a tribute to any player, any that have passed.
The club's been, it's bittersweet, isn't it? Because the club's been really on top of that for the last more than a year now, but it also means that you're so cognizant of how many Eels we're losing. And in the last 12 months, it feels like it's been so many. And I know that some have been at an advanced age, and it's just how the world works, but it does suck to see so many members of the Blue and Gold family moving on.
Yeah. It's. I think we had a couple of players from England in that period. Definitely Vince Fawcett. There may have been another one. as well. But this was just before the Brian Smith.
Yeah, that transitional period. Yeah, I saw Rugby League History was in chat before. He might know a few more pommies that might have been in that era there. So I'm not sure if you're still here, mate. But if you are, bless us with your wisdom in that regard. But like you said, Jetta, blessings to his family and friends indeed. Said.
Okay, so with that sad little bit of news, just the last thing to wrap up the Eels news is that their member forum's on tomorrow night up at Kellyville.
Chris Foreman.
So if you're one of those people that's attending, it is limited to 100 people who replied and submitted questions. So if you're one of those 100, don't forget to be there. At 6 o'clock tomorrow.
The last thing you want to do is submit the questions and then not be there.
And of course, it's being held in the community centre that's part of the Centre of Excellence development up there at Kellyville. So looking forward to
multi-purpose complex, baby. Yes.
Question.
Yes. Great to have those facilities there at Kellyville. Just off the cuff there, I did see in chat, Gallagher, you reminded me there of your Chris Foreman suggestion of the pommy there. Did get some memories from chat there of Gallagher and another. I'm not sure if it was Joel. I don't want to put you on the spot there. Some memories that we might be. There might be some developments with Jackson Purdue in the coming week or so. We'll have to. I'm not going to hold you boys liable, but I am intrigued. So I certainly would not be against us pursuing a player like Purdue. I've mentioned that in the past, Craig. He's a very, very talented. I know he's a halfback by trade, but he's really been great in the centres, which is just quietly a position where the Eels might be looking to stock up some depth and not just depth there, but a genuine difference maker. So that would be a very cool turn if we could be in the Purdue stakes. And on that note, in terms of signings, there was a bit of news to add to the NRL side of things, Craig, because the Titans did a pair of retentions that I want to talk about on top of the bombshell Brisbane and South Sydney news. So we'll get to that very shortly, because it's intermission music time, unless you've got something else you want to throw on.
No, I'm keen to hear your intermission music, John.
Yeah, well, this one, actually, it's funny, a little confluence of all these different things, because I just realised this was a question on, what's the Todd Woodbridge game show, Tipping Point? Is that the...
No, he does...
it's Tipping Point, isn't he? He does the counters on the shelf.
It is. No, it is. It is.
This was a question on Tipping Point.
Australian Tipping Point. But just before you go on, John, in what other rugby league podcasts are you going to get the term confluence used?
Yes, the intersection of a number of different factors in this regard here. I just realised it just triggered in my head. I picked this for a completely different reason because of the Seattle Seahawks and the Super Bowl and the narrative behind that one there. But this was also a question on Tipping Point maybe yesterday, about which 1984 horror comedy featured this particular, I suppose, what's the name, arch enemy or antagonist. And they named the antagonist. I don't want to spoil that one there for anyone that hasn't seen the movie. My theme this week, Craig, after going completely off tangent there, it's a surprising selection because the Seattle Seahawks won their second Super Bowl, 12 years since their last Super Bowl, but 11 years since the last time they went to the Super Bowl and had their hearts broken. They took on the New England Patriots, drove the ball to the 1 yard line on the back of one of the biggest circus catches you'll ever see, with Jermaine Kearse reeling in a ball that he bobbled, kicked and tipped and caught on his back. And then the Malcolm Butler play happened, the interception, the play as they call it, and the Seahawks turned the ball over and lost the game. And that's haunted Seahawks fans for a long time. And ironically, coincidentally, tangentially, in parallel, Sam Darnold, the player they brought in for a quarterback this year, was picked number 3 overall back in 2018, so a high pedigree pick in the draft. They had a lot of expectations on him. He had a game against the Patriots in his rookie year where they just battered him. They just smashed him, and he was on the sidelines, and he said, "I'm seeing ghosts." And that really defined him. The media seized on that, and anytime he had a bad game, he was seeing ghosts. So you had the Seahawks haunted by the ghosts of Super Bowl 49. You had Sam Darnold, who was haunted by the ghosts of the Patriots, and they all met again in Super Bowl 60. Seattle versus New England, Darnold versus the Patriots. And I think it tees up, alongside that Tipping Point little crossover there, the perfect theme song. Make sure I press the right button here. I've got to double check this now. Oh, yeah, this is this one here. Yeah, the perfect fitting celebration song. And it's not Queen, it's not any of those classic ones. It's an orchestral rendition of Ghostbusters. spoilers, someone goes really hard on the sacks in this one.
Huey Lewis composition.
This is done by, who was it? This rendition was done by...
No, I'm talking about the original music.
I'll tell you in a sec, but to give credit, this was done by the Imperial Orchestra, but then the Ghostbuster theme. Would it be Huey Lewis? Ghostbuster.
I'm being tongue-in-cheek here, John, in saying Huey Lewis.
It was Ray Parker Jr., by the way. So
yeah, but taken to court by Huey Lewis.
Oh, because of the sampling of
I Got a New Drug was the
yeah.
I think the song that he said he ripped it off.
Sampled.
So,
yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Influenced by.
Yeah, feel over that Ray Parker Jr. indeed, mate. Yep. Who are you going to call? Mike McDonald and Sam Darnold, apparently. So, yeah, second ever Super Bowl for the Seattle Seahawks. They busted their ghosts. They righted the wrongs of Super Bowl 49 of Sam Darnold's horror game against the Patriots in his rookie year. And, yeah, the Seahawks now set up with a whole lot of cap space and a young roster. So, I don't know if they can make a dynasty out of it. I don't think they've got the roster to be like the Chiefs or the Patriots, but it's not to say they couldn't get to a second title in the coming years and maybe make a real fist of it.
Have you checked in with Marcus?
Yes, yeah, we were texting throughout the game. It was tense at the end. You gave me a call where the Seahawks were up, and then I think the Patriots scored a touchdown shortly after, and I was like, don't tell me, because anyone that's familiar with the Falcons Super Bowl loss to the Patriots, which featured a monster comeback. I think it was 28-3, and the Falcons lost. Yeah, it was like, don't tell me the Patriots are going to get another one. And then the Seahawks absolutely iced it with a brutal. It looked like it was a strip sack fumble recovery for a touchdown, but it was actually Devin Witherspoon hit Drake May hard, but it wasn't a sack, and he dropped it directly into another defender who ran for an intercept pick six. So yeah, really good game. Fantastic. I cannot speak highly enough of the season, mate. The Seahawks, they came from the clouds in the national media in America, but kind of like with Parramatta, where a lot of people know that we exist in this coming season, but aren't really giving us, contender status. They just kept grinding and fighting and built a defensive wall that took them all the way to the Super Bowl and won it. So, like I said, no pressure on JR, but Mike McDonald's the blueprint there, mate. Second year Super Bowl / NRL premiers, please.
Yeah. Now, John, just before we go into the NRL news, I should have mentioned the Eels news. The Eels Foundation dinner with lunch. Sorry, it's celebrating the '86 premiers, so people can
40
buy.
years, you're right.
People can buy tickets to put them at a table with
17th of April.
Current NRL players, '86 players. So.
Yeah, so 17th of April been held on the eve of the Round 7 clash against the traditional rival in the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. You get to celebrate the 1986 premiership there. So,
sorry, is it a luncheon or a dinner?
What do we got here? I forget. It's an evening celebration. So,
there you go. Yeah, I was thinking of last year with the luncheon. So evening celebration, and of course that'll make it easier for people as well that might have found it difficult for the luncheon. But if you really would like to have that opportunity to talk to past players about what happened in that '86 year and what it was like to be part of those teams, and likewise, if you'd like to be involved in a really an inner sanctum experience with the current players. That's a great event to get to. So, and of course, it raises money for a terrific cause, the Eels Foundation. So, check out the Eels website for that, and we'll put some reminders up for it on TCT socials. Okay, John, of course, the big NRL news is Payne Haas to the Bunnies.
Yeah, Bunnies got under the guard of the Broncos and just about everyone else in the NRL. I mean, to their credit, there's been some talk about the Haas camp contacting the Rabbitohs in recent, I think, was it a Paul Kent development there? But people sort of forgot that just because Payne Haas had extended with the Broncos, he was still eligible to be spoken with because it was a 1-year extension. So no suggestions of anything untoward here by South Sydney. I think that just everyone sort of assumed that the way Haas contract negotiations play out in the past goes through past the Origin series, gets dragged out. He looks to extract value, threatens to go to R360 or rugby union, and then they come to some sort of accord at the end of it. The Bunnies get in there. It's a 3-year deal starting from 2027. It's been registered with the NRL, but it is still subject to the cooling down period. So Brisbane do have the right to reply. And there is talk that they're putting together a big offer. There's been reports that they lowballed Haas initially for an extension or the framework of an extension, and that the Rabbitohs have just matched what his existing deal was. The stuff here always gets real murky, doesn't it, Craig? You got player managers, you got clubs leaking details on both sides, trying to control the narrative. But no doubt about it, this was a stunner. One of the biggest signing, if it does go through, one of the biggest signing coups we've seen in a long, long time. Payne Haas, the height of his powers, coming off a premiership with Brisbane, potentially joining Wayne Bennett at the South Sydney Rabbitohs. At a point where no other club I felt like really knew it was going to happen. So it's not like you can be annoyed that the Eels might have missed out on him, but it wasn't like they were given the opportunity, or at least thought they had the opportunity, because it just came out of nowhere. Mind you, the report says 1.2 million. I find that hard to believe that he would move from Brisbane for the same money. Surely Brisbane won't lowball. I don't know. There's a lot of moving parts in this one.
He was just really, really peeved about being lowballed. I don't know.
I mean, Phil's pointing out there's a lot of, in the framework of that South Sydney contract, there's a lot of clauses. I think there's an R360 clause, which is crazy to me that this is still allowed to happen. What happened to 10-year bans, by the way?
Yeah.
But yeah, like still a lot to play out here because was it a 10-day cooling down window? I think it is, or roughly in that vicinity. So the Broncos do have a chance to put together a big counter offer. And as far as I know, Souths have to stand on their current offer, right? They can't respond to Brisbane's offer.
Look, as far as I'm aware, I think the incumbent club has the last.
That's right. Like it's like you can't raise like once you've checked, you can't raise above the table like betting thing there. So, this was a big one. In fact, it's been a terrible week not terrible week. It was a terrible week for one Queensland club, but a good week for another, which I'll get to shortly in the Gold Coast Titans. But yeah, I'm very keen to see how this one plays out. Bunnies losing Keon Koloamatangi. They get their guy to replace him, obviously, if this does go through. And in fact, they replace him, they improve on him, which is not many players you could say that about losing Keon, and then replacing him. But it's no doubt this is a huge win for South Sydney if they get him. But they've got a lot of holes in their roster, Craig, and they've got holes at big positions. So Payne Haas, no doubt, elevates their pack massively. No one's going to challenge that. He's the best forward in the game. He's an absolute stud. But they've got Cody Walker about to hang it up. They've got a reasonable fullback in Jai Gray. Like I like Jai, but I wouldn't put him anywhere near the elite category. Maybe he'll prove me wrong in that regard. But they haven't really got a known halfback right now. They've got Humphreys there, did an okay job. I wouldn't call him anywhere near not even blue chip, but like a proven NRL halfback. So yeah, they've got big holes in their roster. And Payne Haas helps the forward pack, but it doesn't help some of those other key positions.
Yeah, and the Broncos, you got Reynolds retiring, which we were expecting.
Yeah, anyway. that was like, thanks for confirming that, Adam. Like that one's been on the cards for a long time. Last year, heading into the grand final, was a ton of speculation. He'd had the injuries last year. Like, what year is it? If he's had injuries, any year's a year of big Adam Reynolds injuries because he's just been that way for a number of years now. But there was huge speculation about him maybe hanging up last year if they won the title. He's going to go around one more time, and then confirming what we all suspected, hanging up the boots at the end of 2026. So yeah, it's funny because I saw a lot of Eels fans chatting to me about if Payne Haas does leave the Broncos, does that make it more likely that Jonah Pezzett doesn't stay at Brisbane? I am loath to talk about those sort of contract situations now too, because the Eels are literally fighting for the Zach Lomax situation. You can't say Zach needs on his contract and then Jonah should get out of his. I think that Jonah goes to Brisbane, Eels hold Zach accountable as much as they can. And even without Payne Haas, he's still going to work with Ezra Mam and the fullback there. God, odd noodle there. What's his name?
Reece Walsh.
Reece Walsh, flashy eyes, having an absolute brain feed there.
I thought it was only me and my advanced age.
No, don't worry, mate. I'm running on caffeine and little sleep after the Super Bowl stuff, but yeah, you got Mam and Walsh there, so there's plenty of appeal to go to Brisbane even without Payne Haas. So Reynolds retires, they rebuild around Jonah Pezzett plus the other two boys there, and then whatever else they got in the cupboards, because Brisbane are certainly not short on talent. You know, they lose Payne Haas, they got Xavier Willison, who is not Payne Haas, but he's an outstanding young forward. They've got plenty of ammo left in the clip there.
I think there's a lot of Eels supporters. The sort of sentiment I was receiving in messages from Eels supporters since the Payne Haas news broke was the obvious, which is why did the Eels not make a play? How come the Eels aren't signing big name players like Payne Haas? Going back over players that we've missed out on over the last few months, but that's, again, we don't know whether they actually even made a play or were interested in Payne Haas. And then the other sentiment that was coming through since the Payne Haas signing was announced was what you just talked about then, was, is there a world in which Jonah Pezzett stays with the Eels next year with the changes that are going on at the Broncos? Is he going to a club where the roster's a bit different to what he expected? Was he expecting to play alongside Payne Haas? Was that an attraction to go and play alongside Payne Haas? Those sorts of things. But I agree with what you say, John, which is that you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't have go into court to get a player to honour a contract or have a release document about honouring a contract, and then expect that a player that you've got for 12 months isn't going to be honouring the next contract that he goes to. So
Payne, by the way, he was a Souths junior, wasn't he? Because I remember Parramatta were very close to signing him before he went to Brisbane. It was us and the Broncos.
Yeah, that's a long time ago that when we were. And
I'm pretty certain he was in the South Sydney system. I recall a conversation we had.
Yes, yeah, I remember the exact same conversation about how close it came, and I think it had to do. I can't remember whether it had to do with the money or the length of contract.
I think it was also the family as well were located in the surrounds of Brisbane at the time. Where is he?
But I'm sure that the comment was back then that they really liked what was put forward to them about the coming to Parramatta. So yeah, I don't recall him being a Souths junior, but John, I could be wrong.
Maybe Souths the other team that were in the hunt for him. There was maybe a freeway tussle between us, Brisbane, and them. Like you said, you can't have this isn't the case of having your cake and eating it too, isn't it? Like you can't barrack for Zach Lomax being held accountable for the contract he signed, and then want Jonah Pezzett to break his. I think even with like Payne Haas going, like I said, the Brisbane setup is still very appealing. Not to say that Parramatta wouldn't be appealing to stay at, but Jonah knew exactly what he was doing. Like this was a very calculated move. Spend a year at Parramatta, try and help the Eels go deep into the finals, and then help them bridge to a younger set of halves, and then go to Brisbane. So, I think that's the good note to wrap up that one there. But the other Queensland news, mate, that we didn't put on the run sheet because it came out late last week. Josh Hannay, back-to-back massive wins against the Melbourne Storm. Hopefully Parramatta can make it a hat-trick for the prospective or man that was linked to the Parramatta Eels before Jason Ryles got the gig. But he fended off the Melbourne Storm on two fronts, selling a great vision to both a senior and a junior player there. Tino Fa'asuamala-Awi, I think he committed to, was it the end of 2030 or end of 2031? Long-term retention there for the Gold Coast Titans. Massive news for them. A huge win given that Melbourne were lurking. But even more so was Marcus Byers' young son, Cooper, who had been really hot property in the NRL last year, made his debut, looked great in the international scene. Looked like he'd had pretty much one foot in the Melbourne camp a couple of weeks ago. They've managed to put that fire out and get him to recommit to the club to really bolster their forward pack. So huge wins for Hannay on two fronts there. Titans absolutely needed that kind of shot in the arm, mate. And you know what? Given what we're going through with Melbourne, given our history of Melbourne, I've got no particular love for the Titans, but this does bring a smile to my face. Good to see the little guys getting a win. And I say little guy, I know that the Gold Coast Titans poached Tino Fa'asuamala-Awi from Melbourne back in the day. I'm not pretending it didn't happen, but that was a rare win for them. They had to spend the farm to get him. And now that Melbourne's come knocking back with their big war chest, the fact they've managed to rebuff Melbourne's offer, or put up an offer that was convincing enough for Tino to rebuff their offer, likewise for Cooper, that's a great tick mark for Josh Hannay. And you know what? Going back to when the Eels were looking at both Hannay and Ryles, I would have been happy with either. And obviously we haven't seen any football from the Titans yet, but the moves he's making off the field here probably points towards the fact that the Eels may be keyed into two pretty good coaching candidates going back to that hiring cycle post-BA.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've got the right coach for us.
Oh yeah, look, I'm sitting here absolutely stoked with Jason Ryles, but there is an alternate universe where the Eels went with Josh Hannay, and there's a fair chance that based on what we're seeing, again, no actual form or results on the board in the context of NRL games, but his moves in the off season not too dissimilar from what Jason Ryles did. Pragmatic approach to roster management, happy to move on from players. Eels obviously got Brian Kelly out of the Titans, which was a win-win in that regard. Kelly's still a more of a useful player, but they're looking to get some young guys into the team. That sounds very familiar. And made some key retentions. Again, not too dissimilar to what Ryles was able to do of convincing Moses to get clauses out of the contract, convincing more recently Isaiah Yongi to extend long-term. So, looks like there were a couple of very good coaching candidates in that hiring cycle, and I am very keen to see what Hannay can now do on the field. And as we see in chat, anytime Melbourne lose, the NRL wins.
Yeah. Okay, and finally, John, we had the first of the preseason trials last week. We had the Cowboys just prevail in the end over the Bulldogs.
Yeah, the Vegas team's clashing.
34-30. Mm-hmm. That was the old tale of two halves.
Yeah, tale of two halves, a tale of the extended trial rosters, wasn't it? Cowboys had their starters. And look, it needs to be stressed that the Cowboys named quite a strong team. The Dogs named the New South Wales Cup team to start this game. And then when they changed rosters at halftime, the Dogs probably had the stronger backups or the hungrier backups, and they made a bit real fist of this game, came storming back. But the golf and class was pretty apparent in the first half, which made sense. We saw guys of NRL experience like Darby, Laybutt, Barlow, Purdue, Clifford, Edwards, McHaley, Lukey, O'Donnell, McIntyre. That was a pretty, not saying it's an NRL star lineup, but there was a lot of NRL experience in that lineup, and it reflected on the scoreboard. Yeah,
and I think the other game between the Dragons and the Knights, you had 12 all at halftime, where you had the probably the stronger of the lineups facing each other at the start of the game, and again, not really what you'd call super strength lineups. That they had maybe, I guess they had a sprinkling.
There was a reasonable amount of NRL NRL adjacent talent in these teams. I think probably more so for the Knights. Looking at the roster, they brought in their star recruit in Trey Mooney, but they had Frizzell, Jones, Cant, Mooney, and Saifiti in the forward pack. That's actually a pretty reasonable pack. They rolled out what I imagine is their first drop Haas pairing of Sharp and Smith, or what is going to be Haas pairing? Dylan, and I guess one of those two partners, Dylan, right? Sharp or Smith there. So it's kind of like our situation with Peasant and Papa Lee, where you've got one of the starters and then one of the first drop backups, and then Hunt, Schiller, and Marzu are all NRL season players in the backline. So Newcastle are a reasonable team. Likewise, St. George, Sloan, Tupulotu, Fianai, King Tongia, you got Kerr, Couchman, Halangahu, and Sele. I suppose the one that really caught people's eyes was Cade Reed in this one, the number 7, who hasn't got a profile picture, but he had a pretty good game. And I think that Dragons fans look. I know they've got who's the Cronulla Shark? They're good at Daniel Atkinson.
Yeah,
like that'll help them in the halves. But after dealing with the the Flanagan show and whatnot in the last couple of years, they're hungry to see some fresh blood in the halves, it looks like. And Cade Reed gave them a little bit of hope there. So have to wait and see how he plays out. But they put on a good show for a young player in the halves there.
Yeah, and of course, we don't get carried away with trial results. We spoke earlier about that trial up in Maitland where we came away thinking we're world beaters and emerged with a wooden spoon at the end of the season. But I think they give you a bit of an idea about some individual players, ones you might want to track through lower grades, that sort of thing. So, we're all just keen to see some footy. That's really what this pre-season's about. John, not really any other news floating around. So
I have a quick gander on breaking news, but no one's tagged me on my Discord. So,
so we'll hit the any questions there from chat.
Oh, Cronulla picked up an English international, Owen Trout. I don't know if that's going to be a good signing for him, but their first English signing in a long time. So that's the breaking news today. Let's go to chat. Jamie saying the Dragons or Dargs and Knights was a snooze fest. Not too far off the mark again, mate. Yeah. Did we really see? I mean, because we're talking about the rule changes. The extended benches don't really work in trials because of the nature of the unlimited interchange. Six agains, and then I can't recall too many bomb tries that resulted in the 20-meter restart. There were a couple, but they're ones. Oh yeah, Matty, fair question, mate. Any news on Madison? I don't know if you want to address this one, Craig, but there was a rumor going around.
Look, it's a really awkward one. Make what you want of it. I haven't wanted to talk about it. I haven't really included Madison in training reports. Make what you want of that. I prefer not to get into these things because, to be honest, I never expected Maddo to play this season with the Eels. I thought we'd get an outcome one way or another before the season started. People who've been to training and what have you have seen that he was doing rehab at different stages through the preseason. So I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, and look, we've sort of intimated that all along that even again, if there was complete good faith between the two parties, and not just that there isn't, but the depth the Parramatta Eels have, the young forwards are trying to push through, as well as the competition for spots in NRL would put Madison in an awkward position anyway. So anything else that happens here, if there is some sort of retirement on the cards, which was the rumour there, we can't speak to anything that we'd heard in that regard. Not to say that it's a wrong rumour or anything like that. Just there's nothing we can add that gives clarity there. So wait and see in that one there. I'm sure more, if there is something to it, details will emerge very quickly. That's like one of those ones where the ball would get kicked very quickly on that one there. I see Warren asking us. We'll cover more on this in the junior podcast, mate. But I can give you this question here. He says, anyone know anything about the 7 that's starting SG Ball this week? Oliver Walker. I can tell you, he is a new face of the team. He is a Kyogle Turkey. What a team name, a Kyogle Turkey. So that's the junior club he hails from. He came through
not the bush turkey. Turkey.
Where is Kyogle? It is. Speaking of Fawcett's, near Fawcett's Plain. Talk about Providence right there, eh? What a coincidence. Yeah. He hails from the Fawcett's Plain there, which is, if I zoom out a bit there, where is Kyogle? North Casino. There you go. There's a place I know. There's Casino. Yeah. Okay. So I've got the bearings now there. Yeah. So west of Byron Bay. He was a CCC boy, a Catholic Colleges boy. I think he took their team to the title in the Combined Catholic Colleges Cup and joined the Parramatta Eels this year. So Hell of a job replacing Lincoln Fletcher, but he's going to get great support from Talon residing in Cameron Bamblett, and be very keen to see how he goes. And look, if he does what Lincoln did in round 1 and just steady hand, keeps the boys on time, on schedule, he'll end up having a pretty good game. So the other news there, obviously, Samuel Polly being back in the SG Ball too, which is ahead of schedule from what we'd heard, which is great. Polly is another fantastic young player, so that's a big boost there. Although no Chris Petrus, so they're obviously taking it easy of him still. Not trying to rush him back, given the setup's pretty good. A lot of talent in that squad. Phil, trials. If Parramatta win, we're going to have a good year. If we lose, it's only a trial and it means nothing. Literally trials in a nutshell. Exactly.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah. Let me just scroll back and see if I've got any questions there.
It's already noted on the run sheet for next week.
Jamie also preaching for some retributive signing action against Melbourne if they do end up getting Lomax. Hey, I'm for it. They've got some decent players you can target. What else we got? Any other questions, guys, before we wrap up here? I saw an Owen Trout one there. Where is it? Owen Trout's such an English name. Yes, that is a very old English name there. So I think that puts pretty much a wrap on everything. We'll be back for another podcast in the Junior Reps preview, Craig. But a great news podcast. Hour and a half is probably more on the side of brevity for us, which is it's a concerning sign. But it's, as always, been a fantastic chat with everyone that's been part of the YouTube discussion there. We couldn't do these live shows without you guys adding all the banter, all the questions, all the insight. A lot of great comments always on the quick uptake for areas that me or Craig might be struggling with, trying to recall a player or whatnot. No, Jamie, we confirmed that the Penasini signing. I believe it's done. We that was on the podcast a couple podcasts ago, right?
Look, we probably touched on it a couple of times, which is that we're near positive that
there is a longer term extension in place compared to what the NRL signings portal and the Eels announced. I suppose we can keep it can be an ongoing thing. We can keep asking to get official confirmation, but as far as we understand, there is a longer term deal in place for Will or for Viliami. You're right. No announcement. Yes, correct. Yeah. So just to clarify, nothing official. This is 60s back channels tips right there. Will himself again announced it in the press last year, which is what led to all the confusion. It does look like the Eels do have another piece of their backline sewn up for a few years. Jetta, thank you, mate, and thank you, Kicks, for the great pod shout out. It's always a blast with you guys. No, you don't have to stop asking, Jamie. If anything, keep us on our toes to get it official so we can ram it home to the club. But as far as we understand, there is the long-term deal in place, just not announced. So go figure. Big fella, I'm going to throw it over to you now to take us home. But thank you for a great podcast. Thank you for getting all pumped up for our first proper Teamless Tuesday as we head into the first week of the trials.
Thanks, John. I think you and I have got some big recording ahead of us this week. We might have a bit of a double recording to do on. Yeah,
got to finish up with Chris Ricketts and get that one into post-production. And then, get the Junior Reps and then into calling the games on Sunday.
So big week ahead. Of course, our thanks to everyone that's watched this one live, all the people that are watching it or listening to it on delay. We really do appreciate it. Please don't forget, like and subscribe. It's just a little thing that we ask that you do, but it helps us to kick our growth along a little bit and allows us to maybe do a few things in terms of monetizing, that sort of thing. And believe me, we need all the little help we can get in that regard. Thank you, John, for another fine podcast. I couldn't do this job certainly without John. So John's the rock.
AI is not quite there yet. It's not far off, but it's not quite there yet. So,
and of course, thank you to our sponsors, Star Partners Real Estate, Auburn, Narellan, and Parramatta, the OG of our sponsors, and of course, Paraleagues, the home of the Eels. Please vote.
It takes 30 seconds. Voting. You get your PIN number. You click the link.
Electronic and postal voting closes on the 20th of February. If you keep putting it off, before you know it, it'll be the 20th of February, and you'll be thinking to yourself, oh, what have I got to do? Where's that email? You'll be searching through your folders and going back and making sure you haven't deleted it or what have you. Honestly, it takes barely a minute or two to vote. It really does. You get your PIN number and all of that comes through in your email, and it's just a matter of getting there online and casting your vote. And your vote is valuable, especially to vote against those member proposed special resolutions, because it might sound good when you see member proposed, but you have to remember that the members who have put this forward want to roll back things like electronic voting and postal voting and standards for directors. So you've got to think, there's members and there's members, and these particular members, only 1/5 of them have visited the club in the last 12 months.
And a reminder that there's also the director elections and the general resolutions, which you can vote on any way you want. We're not going to advise you how to vote in those ones. Just the special resolutions. There's 4 of them. We suggest strongly that you vote no.
Yeah, and you'll know because there are instructions from the board in where you go to vote as well. It actually tells you that they
you can't miss it.
Voting against it. You can't miss it. Once you're in there, you'll know what resolutions we're talking about. So again, we'll finish with that. And John, as I always say, go you mighty Eels.